Dhanyavad. Your favorite king. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaurabhakta Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaurabhakta Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to our morning Bhagavatam class. This morning we will be discussing on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10, verse 25, and the chapter is entitled Lord Krishna's the departure of Lord Krishna to Dwarka. Had to switch that whole phrase around. And the class will be given by His Grace Harirashva Prabhu from ISKCON, Philadelphia. Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept mine. Glories to Srila Prabhupada.
And it's all yours. Yes, Prabhu.
Mother, can you make it larger? Can you make the font bigger?
I'm going to ask my daughter's help. Give me 1 second, because these young kids are the experts here.
Tell her I can't see, I can't hear.
No problem, Prabhu. Hold on. Prabhu, if you would like to start with the opening prayers, I can have my daughter work on this font in the meantime.
Okay, if possible, I have something that I could read it from. That's what I did before. So just so I know, do we do the word for word? I'm just,
yes, Prabhu. So what you would do is you would have the invocation prayers, and then you will repeat the verse 3 times, and then devotees will repeat after you. I mean, they will repeat, when you're done, and then you will do the word for word. Yes, I
wasn't sure what to do. Okay,
it's fine. Is this good, Prabhu? Now, is this font size good?
Oh, that's wonderful, Mother.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you.
And I just chant Rala Madhava?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Thank you.
My basis is Jaya Rama Rama Kunjabi Hari Jaya Rama Rama Kunjabi Hari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Dashodanandana Rajajaranjana Jumnatira Manachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Dashodanandana Rajajaranjana Jumnatira Manachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Dashodanandana Rajajaranjana Jumnatira Manachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Jashodanandana Rajajaranjana Jumnatira Manachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Briva Jackie Charja Astal Tilsat Shishiman Divine Loving Grace AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Shil Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Briva Jackie Charja Astal Tilsat Shishiman Divine Grace Shil Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Shil Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaisnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shil Haridasa Kaur Ki Jai Premsi Kahul Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvadi Gadara Shivasi Kaur Bhakti Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Prem Anande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the symbol devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the symbol devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the symbol devotees. All glories to Lotus Feet, Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Taisho Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10, Text 25. I can't still see the chapter. Anyway, Krishna's. It's okay. So I'll do the verse. Yada Dhamena, Yada Jadamena, Tamodio Nipa, Jivanti Tatraisha, Hisatpatakila, Tate Bagam Yat Satyam, Ritam Dayam Yasho, Bhavya Bhavaya Rupani Dada Yuge Yuge, Yada Jadamena, Tamodio Nipa, Jivanti Tatraisha, Hisatpatakila, Tate Bagam Satyam Ritam Dayam Yasho, Bhavaya Rupani Dada Yuge Yuge, Yada Dhamena Tamodio Nipa, Jivanti Tatraisha Hisatpatakila, Tate Bagam Satyam Ritam Dayam Yasho, Bhavaya Rupani Dada Yuge Yuge.
Yada yadharmena tamodiyo nripa jivanti tatraisha hi satvatah kila dhate bhagam satyam ritam dayam yasho bhavaya rupani dadat yuge yuge.
Yadhidamena tamudiyo nipa jivanti tatraisha hi satvatah kila Tate Bhagam Satyam Ritam Dayam Yasho Bhavaya Rupani Dadat Yuge Yuge.
Yada Yadharmena Tamodeyo Nripa Jivanti Tatrasha Hi Satvata Kila Dhate Bhagam Satyam Ritam Dayam Yasho Bhavaya Rupani Dadat Yuge Yuge.
Okay. We can bring up the word for word. Oops. Yeah, like I said, we have to shrink it so I can't see it.
I'm gonna move it left and right for you. Oh yeah, okay, there we go. I learned the trick.
Yada, whenever. He, assuredly, Adharmena, against the principles of God. I'm so sorry. Against the principles of God's will. Tamadiya, persons in the lowest material modes. Nirpa, kings and administrators. Jivanti, live like animals. Tatra, thereupon Asia. He, only, Satvata, transcendental, Kila, certainly, Date, is manifested, Bhagam, supreme power, Satyam, truth, Ritam, positiveness, Dayam, mercy, Jasha, wonderful activities, Bhavaya, for the maintenance, Rupani, in various forms, Datat, manifested, Yuge, different periods, Yuge and ages. Translation. Whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals in the lowest modes of existence, the Lord, in his transcendental form, manifests his supreme power. The truth positive shows special mercy to the faithful, performs wonderful activities, and manifests various transcendental forms as is necessary in different periods and ages. Purport. Just 1 second. I can see better here. As mentioned above, before by Srila Prabhupada, as mentioned above, the cosmic creation is the property of the Supreme Lord. This is the basic philosophy of Ishopanishad. Everything is the property of the Supreme Being. No one should encroach upon the property of the Supreme Lord. One should accept only what is kindly awarded by him. Therefore, the earth or any other planet or universe is the absolute property of the Lord. The living beings are certainly his parts and parcels or sons, and thus every one of them has the right to live at the mercy of the Lord, to execute his prescribed work. No one, therefore, can encroach upon no one, therefore, can encroach upon the right of another individual man or animal without being so sanctioned by the Lord. The king or the administrator is the representative of the Lord to look after the management of the Lord's will. He must, therefore, be a recognized person like Maharaj Yudhisthira or Parikshit. Such kings have full responsibility and knowledge from authorities above the administration of the world. But at times, due to the influence of the ignorance mode of material nature, tamagun, the lowest of the material modes, kings and administrators come into power without knowledge and responsibility, and such foolish administrators live like animals for the sake of their own personal interests. The result is that the whole atmosphere becomes surcharged with anarchy and vicious elements, nepotism, bribery, cheating, epidemic, war, and similar other disturbing features become prominent in human society. And the devotees of the Lord or the faithful are persecuted by all means. All these symptoms indicate the time of an incarnation of the Lord to reestablish the principles of religion and to vanquish the maladministrators. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord then appears in his transcendental form without any tinge of material qualities. He descends just to keep the state of his creation in a normal condition. The normal condition is that the Lord has provided each and every planet with all the needs of the native living beings. They can happily live and execute their predestined occupations to obtain salvation at the end, following the rules and regulations mentioned in the revealed scriptures. The material world is created to satisfy the whims of the Nichabhada, or everlasting conditioned souls, just as naughty boys are provided with playing cradles. Otherwise, there was no need of the material world. But when they became intoxicated with power of material science to exploit the resources unlawfully without the sanction of the Lord, and that also only for sense gratification, there is necessity of the Lord's incarnation to chastise the rebellious and to protect the faithful. When he descends, he exhibits superhuman acts just to provide his supreme right. And materialists like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, and Kamsa are sufficiently punished. He acts in a manner which no one can imitate. For example, the Lord, when he appeared as Ram, bridged the Indian Ocean. When he appeared as Krishna, from his very childhood, he showed superhuman activities by killing Putna, Aghasur, Sakasur, Kaliya, etc. And then, his maternal uncle Kamsa. When he was at Dwarka, he married 16,108 queens, and all of them were blessed with a sufficient number of children. The sum total of his personal family members amounted to about 100,000. Popularly known as the Yaduvamsa. And again, during his lifetime, he managed to vanquish them all. He is famous as the Govardhandari. Hari because he lifted at the age of only 7 the hill known as Govardhan. The Lord killed many undesirable kings in this time, and as a Kshatriya, he fought chivalrously. He is famous as the Asamordva, unparalleled. No one is equal to or greater than him. The verse again. Whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals in the lowest modes of existence, the Lord in his transcendental form manifests his supreme power, the truth positive, shows special mercy to the faithful, provides wonderful activities, and manifests various transcendental forms as is necessary in different periods and ages. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Sachidas Goswami Tale Sachi Pravidam Vande Vinitam Sadabhushnam. The door is open. Bhakti Granta Naipunyam Bhakti Granta Shikshitam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi. Gauravani Vicharne Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paschatni Distarne. Again, Timaranda Shagananjana Shakaya Chaksha Umaitanina Tazmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, thank you so very much for allowing me to come again. If you want, you can remove the words, and I can see.
Okay, Prabhu.
You know.
Yes, I'll do that right now.
I have my own. Yes. So the last time I was here, we were speaking about Good morning. Good morning. We were speaking about the qualities, about how everything was in abundance in the world. There was just ample everything because you had a saintly king like Maharaj Judas there, like Parikshit Maharaj. So everything was in abundance and auspiciousness could be seen from all corners. Why? Because we were under direction of a person who knew the standard, who had that pure heart. And so because the kings were trained, they had knowledge, then they were directing us, the citizens, in a proper way, and the citizens were happy. This was the effect of having a Rajarshi, as the leader. But today, it appears that I came to get just the opposite, Here, we're given a description of leaders in the lowest modes of existence. And it says they're really tamasic, in the mode of ignorance. And again, it says, whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals in the lowest modes of existence, the Lord in his transcendental form manifests his supreme power, truth positives, shows special mercies to the faithful, performs wonderful activities, and manifests various transcendental forms and as is necessary in different periods and ages. So the first thing you hear is Yada Hidama Shit, Kale Bhavati Bharatama Bhutanama Dhamma Shah, Shujatmanam Shujam Yaham, where Krishna says, whenever, wherever there's a decline in religiosity, an increase in irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Why? To annihilate the miscreants and to appease the devotees. So we know, and it's going to go further, that when things go wrong, Krishna has to come. And Srila Prabhupada gave such a description of the age that it just appears that he's speaking about today. You know, just today, as you go down. And everyone, it is our birthright, you know, to be able to live our lives, to have the necessities of life so that we can live a happy and peaceful life, do our duties, and ultimately become reformed and, you know, connect ultimately with the Supreme. It's set up like that. It's one of the biggest reformatories I've ever, you know, encountered, you know, such upper and lower planetary systems, but ultimately it's here to reform the Nityabhadas, you know, as promised the everlastingly conditioned souls. And the description here just goes on, and it begins to, the main thing is that when we have these leaders who are not trained, who are not educated, who do not have the assistance of the parampara, then all havoc is wreaked, you know, on society. And the mode of ignorance is just the opposite of the mode of goodness. The mode of ignorance, a man, Prabhupada says in the purport, everyone can see that his great grandfather's died, his great grandfather's died. Man is mortal, but death is sure. But men go around working all day and night, not caring for eternal spirit. So this is madness. He says, and this is the nature of the mode of ignorance. And the prime factors, we're addicted to intoxicants, gambling, cheating, all the lower things are there. So when we look at society today and see that we're in such disarray, it is due to the fact that from the top, we have no direction. We've lost our way because we don't have that Rajashi. We don't have a Maharaj Judas there. We don't have a Maharaj Parikshit. And therefore, the general masters are being cheated, exploited, which is the nature of and being trained up in habits, which ultimately lead us to sense gratification, which take us to further degradation. So it's, in one sense, it's chilling, but in another sense, we should be very clear to understand it's not even so much that we're collectively doing bad things, although that's true. It's a bad age. We have bad leadership. We can't expect anything good. But there is some good news. As Krishna says, you know, he comes. When it gets really bad, he comes. And why? Because Krishna has set this place up in such a way that we can make advancement. Even if it's just gradual, we can make advancement. So the first thing is knowledge has to be infused into society. And there was a nice verse Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the opening, the Sri Ishu Upanishad. And that's a sweetie. I'll pull it up. I don't remember that one, you know. But the Sri Ishu Upanishad 1 is Ishavasham idam sarvam yat kincha jagat jam jagat tene twaktena punjita megrida kasya svidanam. And there, Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Supreme Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. So this is very essential knowledge. You didn't find land, you didn't find trees. I don't know who they belong to. Everything belongs to someone. It belongs to the Supreme Lord. Even when we find ourselves, we find that we belong to the Supreme Lord. We're part and parcel. He tells Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, O Dhananjaya, there's no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. Sutre Managana Eva. He's the source of everything. Everything's coming from him. So the first thing is we should understand that this belongs to someone. This world, everything here, there's a proprietor. And that proprietor is Sri Krishna. And so it becomes very difficult to become successful when we're constantly cheating, plundering, exploiting. You hear that list? Bribery, bickering, what are we doing? And the first thing we're doing is because our vision is so tamasic, because the leadership is so tamasic, the first thing we do is kill the subordinates that we're to give shelter. We kill the animals. We slaughter the animals. Why? Just for a little profit and for taste. For profit and for taste. And the animals have as much entitlement as we do. They're our brothers and sisters. So that's the first point, that remembering that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord, including us. So Srila Prabhupada has such an elaborate purport that I'm just going to go down. Because first he just explains what happens when you don't have proper leadership. When you don't have at the top good God conscious men, the result is that the whole atmosphere becomes surcharged with anarchy and vicious elements, nepotism, bribery, cheating, aggression, and therefore famine, epidemic, and war. It's all here. It's all here. And it's here. But then Srila Prabhupada said, the Lord then appears in his own transcendental form without any tinge of material qualities. He descends just to keep the state of his creation in a normal condition. So this atmosphere, this condition that we're living in, it is not normal. It's chaotic, it's hellish. And there is a system. There's a system that Krishna set up. Varnashram system is set up by him. So we have the right to perform our duty. We have the right to work. We have the right to accept our allotted quota. And so that we can gradually make spiritual advancement. That is our birthright. And why? Because we've come here, and I love the way we're called for the Nityabadas, And Prabhupada explains the material world like a cradle, or like a pen. Where you put that naughty child inside, go on, stay inside, that's your parameter. You do your thing right in there. So this is the way that we're contained. We're contained under the influence of the material modes of nature. You can come up if you want to go to the 4th floor. So we're contained like that. But ultimately, as we go through life, by the grace of Krishna, he comes, and in this age that we're in, we're getting so much special mercy, because not only has Krishna come hidden, he's come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Nam Prabhu is here. And it's not going to get any more merciful than that, The holy name is Krishna, and Krishna is here. And because Krishna is here, then there is shelter. If we just take shelter of this process, then we're going to find that although we came up in a bad situation, anyway, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. This is the age we're in. But because the opportunity to take shelter of the holy name is here, then all auspiciousness is there for us. And we don't have to join the list. If we take shelter of the holy name, if we take shelter of the process of devotional service, then the lights come on. And this place is no longer a hellish situation. This is the place where we begin to see the mercy of the Lord. Remember, as we reform, we become that group of faithful devotees. So as we become the faithful, then we become used by the Supreme Lord. We get to hear the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. All through this chapter, Krishna is being glorified. As he's leaving, he's being glorified. So we get to hear how sweet the devotees are glorifying the personality of Godhead. We get to hear his instructions in Bhagavad Gita. When Krishna wound up his earthly pastimes and made sure that the whole Yadu dynasty was gone, he could have gone and gone back, because the Bhagavatam was being left here. The Bhagavatam is coming after Krishna left. But no, Krishna, he decided that he would leave us with a jewel. He left us with Bhagavad Gita. And by Krishna leaving Bhagavad Gita, not only did we have direct association with Krishna, but it gave us that methodology. It gave us the process to become servants of the Supreme. Ultimately, it gave us the process to become surrendered souls. And once we become surrendered souls, everything has changed. Once we become surrendered souls, when we hear of the killing of Putana, the killing of Kamsa, Lord Ram killing Ravana, we can't wait. We can't wait to hear these stories. Krishna being snatched by Kaliya, wrapped in his coils, pulled down into the water. Oh my God. The devotees are suffocating. Krishna's underwater. But we can't wait to see Krishna pull up, come out of that water, and start dancing on the hooves of Kaliya. Stamping, put each one, hitting the hooves of Kaliya. Just dancing. Beautiful Krishna. What to speak of as we begin to hear the pastimes of Parthasarthi. The Supreme Lord. Beautiful Krishna. And now he's just the chariot driver of Arjuna. And he's telling him, I'll only drive the chariot. The others can have my armies. I'm just going to drive the chariot. But as he's driving the chariot, remember, Grandfather Bhishma said, oh, you can do that, but you're going to break your vow. You're going to break that vow. And as Arjuna and Krishna are on the battle of Kurukshetra, it's a bad day. Grandfather Bhishma is in rare form. He's just wiping out one Akshahini after another. And Krishna is becoming dissatisfied. Krishna, with that beautiful silken dhoti, that lightning silken dhoti with his blackish form, he's got beads of perspiration on his forehead. He snatches that wheel of the chariot and he's running towards Grandfather Bhishma. He's ready to kill him. He's had enough. Grandfather Bhishma is seeing his beautiful Lord Krishna, thinking, oh, come. or lotus-eyed one. Their exchange is taking place. The arrows are hidden, Krishna, like the bites of the beloved to the lover. But there, Grandfather Bhishma and Krishna are in combat. How do you get to see Krishna fighting with his devotee like that? He stops. He drug Arjuna for so long. Arjuna's trying to hold him. He's dragging Arjuna. So this is the beauty of Krishna. Everything that you see is Krishna. But as Krishna's servants, as we purify our existence, as we're able to change our consciousness, then we see Krishna. Not only do we see that everything belongs to Krishna, that we're servants of Krishna, but we can see that beautiful Krishna face to face. The lover of Srimati Radharani, the lover of the gopis. This is Krishna. And I think seeing Krishna as Kaliya, dancing on Kaliya is one thing. But when I really think of Krishna being really sweet and kind, I think of that Krishna on his tippy toes, trying to steal that butter that Mother Jashoda has left hanging. And he's taking the butter and he's passing it down to Lord Balaram. And they're passing out to the monkeys. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Our hearts become so changed that when we see him like this, it's nothing but joy. It's one thing to know that there's a Supreme Lord, a Supreme Controller. It's another thing to know that there's a relationship, that he loves you. But then it's another thing to know that we can just watch him. We can see his pastimes and relish them at every moment. So here the inhabitants of Singapore, they're so full. The ladies are on the rooftops. It's Krishna Katha, nothing but glorification of Krishna. And this is the point that we want to come to. We want to come to the point of much chitta, matkata, pranam, boja, takparam, katsayantas chamam nicham, tu shanti charamanti cha. Where Krishna tells, those thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully surrendered to my service. They derive great satisfaction and even bliss by always enlightening one another and conversing about me. It is Krishna that we want to see. Krishna we want to serve. Krishna we want to hear about. It's all about Krishna. And as we go deeper, then we become happy. To Shanti Cha, enlightened and enlivened. And when we talk about Krishna, he becomes enlivened. And when he becomes enlivened, our enthusiasm increases even more. So it's such a process. But Krishna does this. This is what Krishna does. Even though it's been explained that, we're pretty rebellious souls here in the material world. But Krishna has it set up in such a way that we can gradually make advancement. So no one has the right to stop us. No one has the right to be greedy and hoard everything and create scarcities and put the people, the citizens in an impoverished situation. No one has that right. But if the kingdom or if the countries are run in a God-conscious fashion, then everyone becomes happy. Without it, it becomes hell on earth. But here, Krishna is explaining that. Srila Prabhupada is explaining that. But he gets into Krishna, ultimately, he gets into the pastimes of Krishna, Lord Ram, Krishna lifting Govardhan, making a mockery of Indra, stopping, Nanda Maharaj from the worship. It's just so sweet. But I want to read you something nice to let you feel some of the appreciation we have for Krishna, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the controller of everything, the giver of everything, the protector of everyone. So I hope it comes up on here. I don't get it on this side, I think. Well, in the Nectar Devotion, I'm coming up there, but in the Nectar Devotion, Krishna begins to, as he's, his qualities are explained. Beautiful Krishna. Oh, I wished I had it there because I love it. You know, it's one thing when we get to hear about Krishna's prowess, his power, but it's another thing when we get to taste the sweetness or hear about the sweetness of Krishna, because that is really who Krishna is. Krishna is just so sweet. And that's who we want. We want to taste that sweetness of Krishna.
Prabhu, if you want, I can pull it up on my end. That will help.
I got it, Mother.
Okay, thank you.
I got it. But and the gopis speak so nicely. Krishna's personality. I wanted Krishna's beauty. Anyway, this is giving different name. Derodatta is a person who is naturally very grave, gentle, forgiving. That's not the one I wanted. Anyway, I wanted Krishna's beauty in Nectar Devotion. I came. I'm too messy. But, you know, Krishna, I don't want to just, I wanted to give direct thing, but anyway, the essence is sweet, sweet is our dear Lord's form, sweeter still his face so fair, but his honey-scented gentle smile is sweet beyond compare. Madhuram, 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 he's sweet. And the tasting of the sweetness of Krishna is really what we want. And so there's a couple stages. The first stage is we just need to surrender. Once we follow the process that he gave us in the Gita, and we come to the point of surrender, now that's opening the doors for everything. Because at that point of surrender, Arjuna in the beginning in Bhagavad Gita, you know, he was hardly in the Gita. And he says, Kapanya dosho pahapu subhava prichchami tvam dharma samudra cheta that shresha nishidam bruhitan me shishastiham sadivam tvam papanam. He surrendered. He said, now I'm confused about my duty and have lost all composure due to my weakness of heart. This condition I'm asking you to tell me for certain what's best for me. Now I'm your shishya. Shishastiham sadivam tvam papanam. Now I am a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So Arjuna came to the point of surrender very early on in Bhagavad Gita. But then Krishna explained all the processes. And Arjuna, because he was put in that situation that we're naturally in, he started to change. And his conviction became so strong. And by the end, when Krishna asked Arjuna, you know, have you heard this with the intent of mind? Are your ignorance and illusions now dispelled? I'm speaking this for your benefit. Think about it, then do as you wish to do. Arjuna said, yes, I have regained my memory by your grace. And he's ready to act. So that point that Arjuna had come to, just hearing the conversation, we was reading this yesterday, just hearing the conversation, Sanjaya's hair was standing on end. And he was rejoicing again. He was done, you know, Sanjaya was done. He was just hearing the conversation. But But the I got something sweet. I got a sweet ball. I just give you a little bit of it. I'm giving you the qualities of the Lord, of Krishna. Personal features can be divided into two. One feature is covered and the other feature is manifest. When Krishna is covered by different kinds of dress, his spiritual features covered. There is an example of his covered personal feature in Srimad Bhagavatam in connection with his Dwarka Lila. His residence in Dwarka as its king. Sometimes Lord Krishna began to play by dressing himself like a woman. Seeing this form, Uddhava said, "How wonderful it is that this woman is attracting my ecstatic love exactly as Lord Krishna does. I think she must be Krishna covered by the dress of a woman." I didn't mean to go there, but I'm just not good unless I got my regular big computer in front of me. I can't pull up what I wanted. But, when I got something good, Krishna's beautiful bodily features. Now, any comparison of the different parts of the Lord's body to different material objects cannot factually be a complete comparison. Ordinary persons who cannot understand how exalted are the bodily features of the Lord are simply given a chance to understand by a material comparison. It is said that Krishna's face is as beautiful as the moon. His thighs are wonderful, just like the trunks of elephants. His arms are just like two pillars. His palms are expanded like lotus flowers. His chest is like a doorway. His hips are dens, and the middle of his body is a terrace. Just beautiful Krishna. So wherever we find the features, the pastimes, Krishna is the ultimate. It's all about Krishna. And in a more simple way, it's about our relationship with Krishna. It is a process of surrender. Once we surrender, there is endless, it's endless how much sweetness is there of Krishna. And even while we're trying to surrender, Krishna is so benevolent that he gives us drops. The drops of nectar are always coming our way. He reciprocates as we surrender accordingly. So it's not all or nothing, but it's such an impetus to work in such a way to satisfy Krishna, because the more we do that, the more we find ourselves satisfied. The more we find that regardless of how rough the material world is, we see it from a different perspective. We think, let me just patiently undergo these sufferings, which are really a result of my previous karma, But as a person continuously does that, keeping Krishna in the core of his heart, then liberation becomes his rightful claim. Krishna's there for us. The relationship is there. It just has to be rekindled, awakened, nurtured. So it's true that we are in a category with these unfortunate people. We're in a bad place. It's a bad time. Under bad leadership, doing bad things. In the pandemic we've just experienced, all the other goodies, we've experienced those things too. But the good thing is, we've also experienced Krishna. Through the Krishna consciousness movement, which Prabhupada so wonderfully explains, through this Krishna consciousness movement, we've been able to experience Krishna. And that is the sweetness of the process. So I'm going to get back to where we are. I know I choose to go more to Krishna than the plight of the suffering of an entity, but ultimately it's about Krishna and his pastimes. So I'm at text 25. I'll read the translation again. I hope it wasn't too rough for you. Whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals in the lowest modes of existence, the Lord in his transcendental form manifests his supreme power, the truth positive, shows special mercy to the faithful, performs wonderful activities, and manifests various transcendental forms as is necessary in different periods and ages. Okay, let's talk about it.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for this wonderful, sweet class. Really, really sweet.
That, but you know,
This is really, really sweet. Thank you so much, Prabhu. And would like to ask devotees if you have any questions, any comments, any clarification, please, you can raise your hand or jump right in and ask a question. Prabhu, it's so nice how you, as you were speaking, and you were mentioning how, Srila Prabhupada wrote this, some 50 years ago. It's like, but he's talking as if it's happening right now, which it is.
Yeah.
We see it. It's like all in the present tense kind of a thing. And we are in the middle of it. We are seeing this, this war and that war. And as you were reading the purport, I was having a realization how we know and we've heard that because, people have become the Lord of Lords over Krishna's property, that there's so much war and pestilence and this and that. But yet, because of our minds, we still get so caught up in the war and in this and in that, when we know it's because they took over Krishna's property. So as a devotee, Prabhu, how can we develop, how can we, I don't know whether the word is develop, but how can we remind ourselves? I think that's what it is, that, yes, we are compassionate. What's happening in today's world, it's like war everywhere, but it's because they have become the controllers and they're misusing it. They are not Maharaj Parikshit and Maharaj Yudhishthira, but still not be so hard-hearted, because I've heard people say, oh, it's the war, they're in Maya. And then they become so incompassionate, like how can we have that balance, Prabhu?
Well, the balance is, one thing I want to ask, I wonder if I can see devotees. The balance is that we won't be hard-hearted if we hear, and we won't be overtaken if we hear. Savasya Chahambadi Sunday still, Matakspitir Galam Apornamcha. Everything, remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness is coming from Krishna. His intelligence of the intelligent man. So we have to hear. It's really, the pandemic really got us started, and we have to hear. The more we associate with the scriptures, the more we will see things as they are. It doesn't mean that we don't feel the pain and shock and dissatisfaction that they're killing people and that they're doing so many things. So we can feel that. And there's a second thing that's happening is that as we continue to hear and chant, then the natural compassion will develop within us. We won't become hard-hearted, we'll become soft-hearted. I forget the Sanskrit to the verse. Lord Nrsimhadev wanted to give Prahlad Maharaj a benediction after everything was over. And Prahlad Maharaj says, my dear Lord Nrsimhadev, I see there are many saintly persons indeed. They go to the Himalayas or the forest. They take vows of silence, Mona Vrata. They're not interested in liberating others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving behind all these poor fools and rascals. I know without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter below his feet, one cannot become happy. Therefore, I wish to stay. Bring them back to the shelter of your lotus feet. This is compassion, almost like on steroids. This is high compassion. But that's what happens when we can continue to hear and chant, the heart, the knot loosens, and the lower modes begin to subside, and we become situated in goodness. And as we begin to serve the Mahatmas, then a great service is done. They bless us with an affinity to hear the message of the personality of Godhead. So we become blessed. But the more we go on hearing and chanting, it's no longer that we're gathering information. We want to enter into the pastimes. So it becomes sweet. It becomes sweet. So both things is there. The remedy is in Vaidhi Bhakti. We have to follow regulated principles, keep ourselves clean like that, and constantly hear and chant. Because if it's good enough to tell people about Krishna, it's good enough to take it for ourselves. We should be receiving a certain satisfaction from the process ourselves. So that's all
We are loving your quote from Compassion and Steroids. It's so good. We are loving it.
Well, Prahlad Maharaj he's one of the heroes for me. Narada Muni, Prahlad Maharaj. But Prahlad,
Thank you.
He cares.
Yeah.
And he gives us hope.
Thank you, Prabhu. Mother Mamina, go ahead with your question, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you. Am I
Mamina,
audible?
you're going in and out.
Actually, I'm driving on the way to my work, so I
You're
don't know
good
about
now.
the network. Am I good? Okay.
Yes, now
Hare
you're good.
Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you.
What?
Yeah, go ahead with your question, Mamina.
Yeah, so I have a question. It was a very sweet class, although I apologize for being late. I was in a meeting, but still I could get the sweetness of the class. Thank you for the class. I have a question. Like every time we talk about compassion, our vulnerability shows up, and then it sometimes melts down. We have meltdown. How do we stay strong and humble during that situation? Because with compassion comes vulnerability, and then it also hurts. We feel hurt.
She says, how do we eliminate doubt?
What she was asking is when with compassion, sometimes vulnerability comes up and then there's a meltdown, and how do we, and then it hurts. How do we balance that? Right, Mamina?
Well,
yes, Mataji, thank you for clarification.
Thank you.
It seems like that. I've experienced that too, but it's not a meltdown. It's like if you get humble, you might get walked on. But actually, everything is arranged by Krishna. When someone comes to take advantage of you because you're being in a very humble, sweet mood, and you see how they're treating you, you can say, well, here I am trying to purify my existence to be humble, and this guy is just this is just really ridiculous the way he's taking advantage of me. But maybe the test was to bring out a different quality in you. These are all tests. So sometimes our tolerance, we're trying to be humble and we're being tested on being tolerant. We're trying to be compassionate. And so the heart is a very unique instrument. It has the ability to love endlessly. It can open up, and because we're connected with the reservoir of all compassion, Krishna. As Krishna as we become cleansed, Chaito Dharpana Marjanam, then we shouldn't be amazed at how we really seem like we're someone else. We are, because we awaken. The dormant love of God is becoming awakened, and all the qualities become awakened. But when we see something and we feel the other way, the false conception of self is creeping in again. Either through the mind concocting, or the false ego saying, no, I'm not going to stand for this. I can handle this. No, I see what they're doing. We're just tiny, insignificant servants. Krishna protects us. I always say, don't forget the Draupadi factor. She kept holding on to that sari. They're pulling on her. She's trying. She's got wanted Krishna, help me, help me. Finally, she knew they were going to pull the sari on. She just said, Krishna. And we have to come to the point that where our surrender is really surrender. And Krishna is encouraging us. He's giving us one test after another. I said, Krishna, I'm not ready for that one. Yeah, I just can't handle that one. Krishna says, yes, you can. You failed that one, but it's coming back. And this time you'll know how to handle it. So it's all about remembering who we are. You don't get taken advantage of. Even if someone tries, if you don't see the reaction, someone may be there just to test you, just to test you. And the more we really begin to connect with Krishna and surrender, we said, actually, I got away with so many other things. What's the big deal? I still have my service. I'm fine. Thank you, Krishna. Thanks for, you will be protected. Krishna didn't bring us here to be exploited. The process is not opening us up to be exploited. The process is opening us up to be who we're supposed to be. Soft-hearted, gentle servants of the Supreme. And he said, declared boldly, my devotee will never vanish. He gives full protection. So I understand him, because I found myself in this situation, and I have to surrender.
That's really powerful, Prabhu. Really, really powerful, that how the Lord is testing us with tolerance.
Painful.
Yeah.
It's painful because we're attached. But when we drop that attachment, there's no pain. There's just... Yeah.
That's really, really amazing, Prabhu. I liked how you took it to a different angle. It was really amazing. Thank you. I hope that helped, Mamina. I'm sure it did.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you for stressing that when you said like our heart is I forgot the word that you said. It's like
Instrument.
Yeah, I'm forgetting the word that you used for. Anyways, I just love the way you describe. I'm totally a person who lives by my heart. My mind is most of the times dormant.
She's a funny one.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from devotees? Any other thoughts, clarifications? This is such a very sweet class, really, really sweet. And going down, if there isn't, Prabhu, is one more question that I would like to ask is, you really stress the word on surrendered, surrendering. And sometimes, we've heard this so many times, and yet because of our attachments, we are so afraid to surrender. So afraid because our attachments, but at the same time, Prabhu, we are not even aware of our attachments.
Yes.
We are not aware of our attachments, which hinders the surrendering process. So how can we be aware, Prabhu, how can we be aware of our attachments that is hindering our surrendering? And then we ask ourselves, what is my problem?
Well, the attachment is what it is. And attachment and surrender go nil together. So if you want to surrender, the attachment will become clear to you that you're attached. And you'll have to break the attachment and surrender, or hold on to the attachment. As you hold on to the attachment, there's no juice. There's no enlightenment. The process isn't working. You're just being attached. And you know, Dayato Vishvara Punksam, while contemplating the senses, we develop attachment. From an unfulfilled detachment, lust develops. From unfulfilled lust, anger and frustration arises. The intelligence becomes bewildered, memory becomes lost. You're just down to the material pool. And that all happened from you. You were contemplating, but you became attached. So the detachment generally happens with knowledge or experience. Your experience teaches you, hey, let it go. You know, I've been there. I felt like that. I just let it go. That's, you know, and real knowledge illuminated. If you're really illuminated with a clear understanding, you see it coming, then you still. So ultimately, detachment has to be there. Attachment makes life painful. And, you know, and so for one of those areas, we begin to give it up. We break the attachment. But the surrender is the mental concoction, is where the pain is in surrender. I'm not going to like this. This is not going to work for me. It won't feel good to me. I don't want to do this. Why? Because surrender means for Krishna's pleasure, for my benefit, but for Krishna's pleasure. So to the extent that I don't want to surrender, it's mental. I'm hovering on a mental plane. It's not but once I surrender, now I have experience and some taste. And so the cold shower or no shower. After the cold shower, I feel better. No shower, ooh, I don't know how that's going to work. So we have to come to the point of surrender, because surrender means for Krishna, for Guru, for Krishna. And every time we do it, we get stronger, we get clearer, we become better. So we don't mind surrendering. Oh, Krishna, you always laugh at it. But it is a required activity. Ultimately, all this training is to bring us to the point of surrender. And how? Krishna said, Man mana mava madbhata. Think of him, worship him, offer our homage to him. That's our surrender. How can you think of Krishna as saying Maya? How can you keep worshiping him, serve him, worship his form, glorify him, offer your homage unto him? And he says, you'll come to him. He promises. I take his word.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. That was very, very helpful. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mother. Okay.
Thank you to all the devotees for joining us. Thank you, Prabhu, for such a wonderful, sweet class. Vancha kaputibhyascha, kripa sandabhevacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mother.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mother Gita.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.